Awesome. My name's Allison. I am one of the lead pastors here, and it's just good to be together. I want to tell you a couple things in case you weren't here last Sunday. Last Sunday was Partnership Sunday, and it was an awesome chance for us to just give vision again to who we are becoming as a people, as a church community, and for you to say, yes, I'm in, I want to do life here with each other for the next year, and a chance to sign our partnership frame. So if you didn't get a chance, it's not too late. We do have that in the lobby. You can go out there and read through that commitment and sign your name. One of the other things we did was we had underneath this white handout on your seat, if you sat on it, there is a light green paper, and we're calling that Pause and Reflect. So again, this is just a chance to sort of have you take your pulse on how you are getting connected in to our family. So there's on one side a way to just reflect on, here's the rhythms, the practices that I've said yes to be a part of this community. And on the other side, there's a way to say, here's what I would like help getting connected into. So if you're wanting more information about life groups or service projects or ways to give, you can check that out, okay? You can put that in the black basket. There's only one of them in here today, so it's this side. I'm looking right at it. But at any time, you can fill that out. We're not going to take time to do that today during the service, but you can fill it out during worship, communion. You can, anytime we're getting up and moving around, you can just walk back there and put that in the basket, and we would love to take a peek at that and help you get connected, okay? The other thing is, we're missing our teens today, many of them, because they're away on winter retreat. And here's their smiling faces. Isn't that so great? I know. I kind of love that Liam and Maggie are like, have their eyes closed because they're smiling or laughing. It makes me laugh. Aw, I know. It really is so fun. So they made it. They're having a great time. I already got a photo of the cafeteria food that they're eating. And I'm like, bless you guys, but they're smiling about it, right? And Amos assures me that it's actually not too bad. So, like, does it actually taste good? He's like, it's fine. So, if you would just think about them, we'll pray for them at some point today in the service, but pray for them. Pray that God would encounter these sweet people. They are in sessions, hearing convicting and challenging talks from people. They're doing worship. They're playing a ton of games. There's like a Smash tournament and a basketball tournament and a bunch of other stuff. So would you just pray that they have deep friendships form and that they really hear from the Lord? That would be awesome. We would love that. So, okay, I think that's all I wanted to tell you, other than we are starting a new series called The Chosen, and I am super excited today to have my good friend Terry Miller kick us off. So give Terry a round of applause as she's coming up here. I'm going to welcome her. So grateful. If I imagine most of you know Terry, but she is, I would just say the words that I would use to describe Terry are faithful and committed and intentional. And I just have been so blessed by watching you be those things in our church. Really, really so thankful for your life. So Terry's been a long-time leader. She's served in various ministry areas in the church, and I know that you've all had a chance to interact with her probably already, but thank you for teaching us today. We're looking forward to it. Okay.
Thank you. So, like Allison said, we're starting off our Chosen TV series. This is season 5. So if you have not watched the episodes, it's recommended that you watch them before the message. So today I'm doing episode 1, and I think episode 2 is getting skipped over. So make sure you watch till episode 3 for next week's message. So to let you know just a little bit about me, if you're not aware, I am a high school chemistry teacher, but I want to give you like a little background of what my classroom is like, because when you hear high school chemistry teacher, there's some models that you might have in your head. So my classroom, we have lots of opportunities to work together. Students actually sit at tables the entire year in pods intentionally so that they can work together. I give multiple modes of learning things, so I give material in different ways. They don't always love this, but one of the things that I do is I ask them regularly to think very deeply, to take information and make conclusions, or to take information and make predictions. Another one of my big comments many, many times is we learn from our mistakes. So taking a risk when you're doing one of those thinking activities, we can learn more from, well, why did you think that? And, let's talk about what that brain process was in order to learn what we need to know, to grow from that. I give them many opportunities to reflect on their learning and also to reflect on the classroom environment and the space that we have together. And then I like to make sure, this is definitely my personality, I like to make sure that we're organized. So that way we're not constantly being distracted by, I need a pencil, I need this. So one of the things that I'm going to do with you is to make sure you're kind of organized, ready to go. So my friend Sherry's going to come up. She's going to read for us in just a moment. But what I would love for you, as I bring a little bit of my classroom into this church space, is I'd love for you to make sure that you have someone else you could talk to a couple times during the message. So if you are sitting all alone, maybe think, is there someone I could turn around and talk to? Is there someone that I could move over and sit next to? That would be greatly appreciated. If you didn't grab a Bible, there are Bibles on the tables in the back and over on the sides. So if you want one of those, that would be fantastic. Then also the white handout is something that we'll be using today. So have your copy of your white handout. Feel free to grab one from another chair if you had too many people sitting. And then a pen or a pencil as you're working through this. Okay, so everybody get your stuff. Okay. All right. All right, and now I'm going to invite up Sherry. She's going to read from Romans 12:1 through verse 6. This is a message from the Apostle Paul to the early church.
Good morning. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is the true way to worship him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Because of the privilege and authority God has given me, I give each of you this warning. Don't think you are better than you really are. Be honest in your evaluation of yourselves, measuring yourselves by the faith God has given us. Just as our bodies have many parts, and each part has a special function, and so it is with Christ's body. We are many parts of one body, and we all belong to each other. In his grace, God has given us each different gifts for doing certain things well.
Thank you. So our focus today is going to be being a living sacrifice. The amplified version of that same scripture, 12:1 in particular, says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies, dedicating all of yourselves, being set apart as a living sacrifice, holy and well-pleasing to God." We're no longer like the Old Testament people were, but we are no longer meant to have animal sacrifices. It's us. We are to be the living sacrifice. So throughout the whole talk today, I want you thinking about, reflecting on, what does sacrifice look like in my life? We're going to watch a clip from Chosen, episode 1, season 5. As we're watching this, I want you to pay a special attention to the religious leaders and how they interact and what they might be feeling and experiencing in this interaction.
Do you hear that? Sounds like multitudes. This is the moment!
The son of David.
The Messiah!
Hosanna. It means save us.
Hosanna!
Hosanna to the Son of David. Hosanna to the Son of David.
Stop! Stop!
Whoa. Stay away from us.
We mean no harm.
You tried to kill us.
No one wants a riot.
John, Z, I want to hear them out.
If you turn back now, it could save your life.
Oh, wait, we're not going to do that, but...
You hear that chanting? The people sound like they're ready to crown him king.
And for declaring yourself a sovereign, Rome will descend on us all.
I have said nothing about an earthly crown ever.
You're riding a donkey. For those of us who know prophecy, your meaning could not be any more clear.
What does he mean?
Zechariah's prophecy of the Messiah. Behold, your king is coming to you, righteous and with salvation, riding on a donkey.
The people haven't even seen the donkey yet.
And once they do, everything they hoped for will be confirmed.
It already is. Can't you see? You should be rejoicing. This is the moment that we will all be saved. Hosanna to the Son of David!
I don't stand with these men, but they are right. Raising Lazarus changed everything. Jesus will not be safe inside the city gates.
You are calling for his killing! Don't you see?
Teacher, if you value your own life, tell your students to stop.
I could tell them to stop. But I tell you, if they were to be silent, even these very stones around us would cry out in their place. Hosanna! Hosanna!
Come on, man. It's good news for you, too.
What do we do now? We can't walk in behind them. We'll look like followers.
We'll take one of the other gates. Come on.
Yusuf!
So for those of you watching at home, there is a QR code that will be projected, or if you here in the room, I like to give students choice too. If you are someone who really wants to see the handout on your phone, you're welcome to use the QR code and scan that. So Yusuf was the religious leader who whispered with the apostles and kind of lingered a little bit. What I'd like you to do, there's a little prompt at the beginning of the handout. And I would like you to take a moment with a buddy and talk through, what do you think Yusuf is struggling with at the end of the scene? And can you relate to anything he is experiencing? While you do that, I'm going to come around. I'll listen in. Don't worry, the microphone will be muted. No one will hear us chatting. But just like I do in my classroom, I like to engage as groups are having conversation. So take a moment. All right, great job, everybody. I heard some really good answers. Fear being involved, comparison, being afraid of what his peers would think, like a peer pressure. I think those are all very, very reasonable explanations for why he didn't follow after Jesus. He probably, the character Yusuf in the story, probably represents the person in our Bibles named Joseph of Arimathea. So if you know anything of him, you can kind of predict where his storyline might go over time. We'll have to see how the series projects that, but that's the line of thinking, that's who he's representing. My take on it, a lot of you said the exact same things. He had too much to lose in his mind. He wasn't willing to take that risk. He was unwilling to sacrifice his position and his reputation to follow Jesus. Now, that particular scene was not recorded in the Bible. It's an extra that they put in for the series. But it really does represent what could have happened in his life and, in a way, what represents for all of us what we need to decide to return to it, not just the first time, but over and over again. Is following Jesus worth it? Am I willing to give up to gain or deepen my relationship with God? And what does sacrifice look like and mean to me? And how does being a living sacrifice fit into my everyday, daily life? When we really look at what God's asking for us to do, he's asking for the sacrifice of ourselves to him, asking us to have our whole person, our body, our mind, and our soul fully devoted to God. He wants to transform us. So in the message today, two big questions as I answer the overarching, what does it mean to be a living sacrifice? Two specific questions that I want you to reflect on throughout. First, what are the things I need to give to God so they end, so they're healed, so they have less control of my life? And second, what are the things I need to give to God so they can be used by him through me? In the Old Testament, animal sacrifices represented the things we give to God to remove those negatives from our lives. The animals chosen, though, weren't always based on the individual's wealth. There were times where the animal chosen was actually based on what the person wanted to offer to God, to give to God, to give back to God. So in the handout, there's another section now, second section, where there's a list of animals on the left side and then little gray boxes on the right. See if you can match up. All of the names of the animals in Hebrew have a meaning which connects their animal sacrifice to the meaning behind the sacrifice. So take a moment in your little groups again. Can you do the matching section? Remember, wrong answers are okay. That's how we learn. So go ahead, talk about it. All right, don't worry if you didn't complete it. It's not a graded assignment. It's just to get your brain going a little bit. You'll be fine. You're passing the class today no matter what. A+ for everybody. You're good. All right, let me go over the answers. I will include my best interpretation of saying the Hebrew. So if someone is versed in that, I apologize if my pronunciation does not fit what the word really is. I'll do my best though. So the first one I'm going to talk about is bull, which is the word par, which means breaking up the soil. Bulls are actually wild animals, so the idea was just as they roamed around, their big, heavy stomps would be breaking up the soil. So in the heart meaning of that, we can give God our brokenness, those places of real hurt. Ox is bakar. That means to attach to a plow or come behind or seek after. So we can bring God our questions, the things we really don't understand and want understanding about. Ram is ayil. That's strong horns or strength. We can bring to God our self-reliance. And I think a really good way of framing this one, because strength seems so good. You know, strength is a good thing. What does it mean to give God my strength? Because I don't want it to have a negative hold on me. I think a good question to ask in that is, how do I use my strength? This one actually is the one that today, because I think we can pick different ones each day depending on circumstances. Today, I think this is the one most important to me. Our God-given qualities, our strengths, can have a negative side. I am an Enneagram 1 with an extremely strong wing 2. So if you don't know what that means, let me just do a real quick overview. It means I am motivated by improving and growing and wanting to make the world better. And my common way of accomplishing that is by doing things. Now, when you think about being in a work environment, that sounds pretty good. Even sounds pretty good in a family environment. But it can show up in a really negative way in my life. I can forget to ask God for his insight and just plow right on ahead on my own. I can also become a little pushy in trying to change other people with the same enthusiasm that I try to change myself. So I need to bring to God this self-reliance and that twisted use of my strength to him. The next animal is sheep, which is kavesh. That means to roam in the pastures or to trample down. So we can bring to God the areas where you have been stepped on or you have stepped on others. Or maybe you trample yourself down by comparing yourself to others instead of seeing yourself the way God sees you. Goat is eyes, and that's stubborn, so we can bring to God our stubbornness. A second meaning of eyes is twisted horns, which is about community. So think about, do you have a tendency to isolate, either all of the time or during struggle times? Do you isolate? So bringing to God our isolation. Dove is tor. Now, that's an interesting one. The tor is actually the word for the sound they make. So as they're flying, saying, tor, tor. So that word then, the sound effect, thank you. The sound effect means circles. So circling around, I think of it as, what are the things where you just keep circling and you're not growing, where you kind of feel stuck? Okay, so bringing to God the areas where you're stuck. And then our last one is pigeon, which is Yonah. That one comes from the image of their heads bobbing up and down as they're walking. And then they took that and transformed it into bubbling, like fermentation, and winemaking. So all of those things come together in the word Yonah. So to give to God the areas in your life that are sour, the places where you complain, where you feel a little bitter, angry, frustrated, all of those emotions. So now I want to give you a very quick moment to reflect. From those things that you heard, and they're in the little gray boxes as your reminders, are there any of those that God's asking you to give back to him, for him to heal, for him to make more whole? Take a moment. So we've discussed what are the things I need to give to God for Him to take away, lessen, heal, make whole again. Now let's flip to the other question. What are the things I need to give to God so that He can use them, so that He can use me in the way that He wants to use me? Nikki Gumbel, who is the developer of the Alpha program, had a little blog where he talked about 4 things that are our sacrifice, our offering to God. The first one he mentions is lips. We offer praise. It's our conversation with God directly, prayer, connecting with Him, but it's also our conversation with others about God. It's the words we use, it's the way we talk, it's how we present ourselves in a non-Christian environment. When you think about where you interact, whether it's in work or whether it's in volunteer locations that you might be, how would people describe you? Would they describe the words that you use as being full of life? Or are you jumping right into the criticism, putting people down, all of the things that the world takes part in? So what are you doing with your lips? The second one is loot, so money. We're meant to be generous. God is not against money, but we're not meant to be like the world. We're not meant to have things like possessions and career take control of our lives. So how do you use and how do you feel about the money in your life? The third one, big category, is life. Obviously, giving everything to God. What we do, what we say, our emotions, it's holding nothing back from Him. It's listening to His instructions for us. It's spending time with Him to hear how He made us to be and walking that out every single day. For me, personally, I've spent a lot of my life doing things to try to feel loved and approved. I've used doing to earn worth, to earn value, to keep striving, to finally feel that sense of love. But the journey, especially over the last year for me, has been learning how to hear from God on how He sees me. It's been experiencing the depth of His unconditional and complete love for me. This came out of times of intentional prayer, of reading, of leaning on others, heavy leaning on others, and most importantly, spending time with God. It's been learning to slow down and just listen to Him. And I don't mean just it's a small importance. I mean just as that's as simple as He wants. He wants to spend time. No strings attached, no ulterior motive other than to love me. He wants to spend time with us. And then the fourth category, love. We are meant to live in healthy community with others. We need to be willing to live in relationship with others in humility and vulnerability. We need to give and receive love from God and from others. We need to take off the masks that most people hide behind and be fully ourselves in our relationships. So take a moment again, just quietly to yourself. You can use the handout. There's a spot at the very bottom. What are the things that you need to give to God so that He can use you more effectively? Lips, loot, life, and love. Take a moment. We're going to end with hearing Romans 12, 1-6 again. My friend Donna is going to come up, and she's going to read it from the Message translation. So again, it's Paul speaking to the church.
So here's what I want you to do. God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. I'm speaking to you out of deep gratitude for all that God has given me, and especially as I have responsibilities in relation to you. Living then, as every one of you does, in pure grace, it's important that you not misinterpret yourselves as people who are bringing this goodness to God. No, God brings it all to you. The only accurate way to understand ourselves is by what God is and by what He does for us, not by what we are and what we do for Him. In this way, we are like the various parts of a human body. Each part gets its meaning from the body as a whole, not the other way around. The body we're talking about is Christ's body of chosen people. Each of us finds our meaning and function as a part of His body. But as a chopped off finger or cut off toe, we wouldn't amount to much, would we? So since we find ourselves fashioned into all these excellently formed and marvelously functioning parts in Christ's body, let's just go ahead and be what we were made to be, without enviously or pridefully comparing ourselves with each other, or trying to be something we aren't.
Thanks, Donna. We're going to move into a time of communion. What I'm going to ask you to do is consider reflecting during the communion process. Reflect on what God has already spoken to you and what are the things you need to give to Him. You can do that through the actual reflection questions and keep talking to Him about that. There's also going to be a song that's playing during the time of coming up to get the elements until we take the communion together. The song really represents that process of giving to God. So you can use the song as a prayer, absolutely. So what I want to do is offer that you can come up. We'll have our communion. It's on both sides for anyone who's unfamiliar. Come up when you're ready and then hold the communion elements at your seat and we'll all take together.